My name is Jeff Pasieka. I work in the sonography program here at Triton College. Nice to be here with you all.
What's the program?
It's in sonography, so it's medical ultrasound.
Oh, I see.
And we're teaching, basically they are professional image takers, and they hold a little handheld ultrasound camera,
Yeah.
and we teach them how to do that and
Oh,
perform
neat.
their job. Yeah, very cool.
Good.
I'm going to be talking about a few different things today, and one of them is our Slido, which is a tool that I really like. So if I invite you to try it out from the user side, if you open up your smartphone or you open up your device, you can go to slido.com, and it should ask you for a password. And the password is going to be CTE.
I didn't need a password.
I didn't either.
It didn't prompt you at all?
No.
No,
Wow,
we're special.
you got in the back door. If you wouldn't mind, leave that in a tab. That would be appreciated. We'll be using the Slido throughout my presentation, so I want you to see it from the student side, right? Thank you for everybody who's contributed with that. So today we'll be talking about different types of high and low technology tools to create an inclusive classroom. And some of you have done this before, right? I learned this from my friend Kelly, where we're learning to make name tents. And to me, it's like so important for various reasons that we'll get into. But I wanted to start today off just by making the name tent so we can get to learn each other. So I will kind of demo it for you. We're going to take our piece of paper. We're going to fold it in half. And then after it's folded in half, I'm going to fold it in one more time. On both sides, so it's kind of folded into 4 parts. And eventually what we'll do is we'll make a little triangle shape.
Jeff, are you
Like that?
using these pieces of paper?
No, I'm going to hand them out actually. Yes.
You want me to-
I'll let you get started. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind.
Your friend Kelly will help you.
Friend
Yeah,
Kelly.
and she gave you the idea. It's nice.
She gets
He
credit.
gave me the idea. I came up with 5
So I would go ahead and do the folding first. Fold it into 4 sections. I did half and then half again.
Is this to make names?
Yeah, we'll make a name tag.
Or if I staple it, is that okay?
That's okay, good. Sure.
I mean, I don't want to go against the rules.
You know, there's different ways.
A special times. Make it your own.
So I did half and then half again. It's going to be a double-sided name pen. I'm all about the double sides, so you can see it from both sides, from any direction. I'm going to take my pen and kind of carefully just do kind of a graph. And I try to tell the students, make your name big and bold so people can read it easily. So I got it on one side, but I'm going to do it on both sides in just a moment. Did you do this in junior high? I never did it.
No, I mean like this.
Oh, like that. The bubble letters, yeah. That was the cool thing.
Oh, yeah. We used to practice for hours. When you were kids.
So I got the double sided.
Exactly. The stripes.
Go on.
Like that.
We'll take just a second to decorate them. So I found that sometimes the permanent markers have the potential to bleed through the paper onto the surface. So we definitely don't want that. So I just have the newspaper that we can put in the background, just for safety. So I'm going to give you a newspaper. We're going to hand off some colored pencils. Feel free to design it for a little bit. Brush your mind while you do it. Don't go too crazy.
Pretty practical, yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
A newspaper, if you would like it. I have one comment art. As he is. I'm going to give you a couple paper clips that you can use to secure it. I'll show you how in just a moment.
What are we securing?
It helps your name tag have more structure to stand up.
Oh,
You might not need it. Thank you very much. We'll try to wrap up our name tents in another 30 seconds or so. I'm going to secure it like this. If you have a different method, that's totally fine. So when I finish, we'll try to wrap it up in another minute. Where's your pen? Like kind of base triangle and save together. I think just the act of making them is kind of peaceful for students. It gives them a chance to transition a little bit from whatever it is that they're scrambling from. They came in worrying about, oh my gosh, my family members are sick and this is due and I got work tomorrow and my car's breaking down.
Alright. Okay. Oh, I know. Take mine then. Okay. Really? Thank you. take my time to finish it.
If you want to put this behind it, and you use the marker just so it doesn't. So where do you think we're going with the name tags thing? Like, why do we care? Why are we making it?
So we remember our students' names.
Absolutely, right?
Sense of belonging.
Sense of belonging. You're ahead of the curve, right?
Oh, yes.
Not only for us, but for who else in our classroom? The students, right? So they can get to know each other. That's just as important, right? So hopefully that was a peaceful way to open the session. I'd like to do my introductions after that, now that we know everybody's names. Again, my name is Jeff, and I work in the sonography program. Students are learning medical ultrasound. And then one by one, we want to just go around and say a little bit about who you are and maybe what you're hoping to learn. For John?
Okay, well, I teach in the adult education group. The class I have this semester is academic writing for very advanced ESL students. Hardest part about learning language is to write it.
Yeah.
So that's what we do. I enjoy it a great deal. This semester I have 15 students, mostly Latinas. I like to say it's just us girls. And so we do a lot of reading, do a lot of writing, do a lot of work with sentence structure and so on to help with their writing. I've been teaching here I retired after a long career in business. After about 2 weeks, I thought, oh, I gotta find something useful to do.
Wow.
So I came here. So I started out in the developmental group and then moved over eventually to adult education.
Here you are.
So,
Good for you.
good enough.
Great. Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. How about for Lisa?
Oh, and remind me, Jeff, I'm sorry. I was so worried about this paper, but what else are we saying about ourselves?
Whatever you like. It's very like open-ended. So this session, I want it to be kind of a workshop style where obviously, hopefully you're learning something, but I want to learn from you as well. So very
My
open-ended.
name is Lisa. I am a librarian. I started here at Triton part-time as a librarian, and then I took a faculty position. So I don't even know how long I've been here now. Really not that long still, but I'm still learning something new every day. Hardest part for me is how much I have to do and get done and finding the time to do it and not get frustrated by it. But I love it. So I love everyone in the library. And if you do not come there and you don't send your students there, you need to. Because we do a lot of really cool things with them, and we have some great programming. And just even if you want to bring a lab tour, loving postcards that they can get, and what's on the library website for them that they don't need to go to Google or Wikipedia to get.
Awesome. Thanks.
My name is Kelly. I am part of the new respiratory care program. I started here a year ago. This is my second semester. I was in the field for 26 years, and transitioning to teaching it has been a challenge, but exciting at the same time. Jeff has helped me tremendously.
What is respiratory care?
What is respiratory care? So typically the places where we work the most is in the hospital.
Really?
So we go into patients' rooms to give them breathing treatments.
So they nurses?
We're respiratory therapists, so we're a therapist. We don't have any kind of RN degree, but they have to graduate from an accredited school, take board exams, get a license in order to practice.
Oh, is this a new field?
It's not a new field. It is new here at Triton, but kind of renewed. It was here 10 years ago, and it was one of the best programs around. So if you think we made our debut during COVID. We finally people kind of knew who we were because we were the people that were running the ventilators and taking care of all of the COVID patients. But there's a lot more that we do. We draw blood. We can go on like flight transports, but it's all about breathing. That's all about patients that have compromised breathing.
Interesting.
Yeah, thank you for asking. A lot of people are like,
Well, I mean, I know respiratory has to do with breathing, but it's, what is it?
So let's go to the back for,
Yeah.
right now, 23.
What's that?
It's good.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi, Tony Stella. I started Trenton College in 1997 as a student worker. I'm an adjunct faculty, so I've been gone for the last 2 years, but then came back. This is my first professional development I've taken for this fiscal year, so.
It's an honor.
I'm just hoping to just brush up on some skills, and I do take my class to the library every semester. We actually do a tour of the campus because there's a lot of, like you said, great things in the library. It's very close to the tutoring center, so I think students should be set up to succeed, and showing them the tutoring center before midterm exams is probably a good thing to do. So we do that every semester. So we love the library. I love the library.
Yes. Well, I'm Vicki. I'm a nurse. I work in the nursing assistant program. We're anticipating getting 80 students in fall. So a lot of work being going on with that. What I hope to get from here is just some tips that I don't know about. There's so much that I don't know what I don't know. So just here, I'm taking pedagogy now. So just reading the discussion boards, I'm like, oh, I never thought of that. So just anything that you wise professors can teach me, I'm happy. And I have 2 tours booked at the library. I already went to the tutoring center. And they're gonna come learn about APA from the library. I did a form
They might be
He said that we're gonna do a little class for APA, so we're excited.
All right, thank you very much.
Hi everyone, I'm Tina. I teach full-time in the mathematics department. Been here, I think I'm finishing up my 12th year. After a point, you still lose count. It just kind of blurs. Know a little bit about inclusivity, but just like Vicky, there's always something more that I can make my classroom better and to be, I'm all about communication and approachability to my students and wanting to make them feel like they belong and they matter and grow their resilience and just keep them. You know, I don't see myself as a success unless I try to retain all of them from day one to the last day. And so all of these techniques really try to booster that.
Are your students, they're not GED students?
They're not. I do teach the full range. So I'll have, this semester I'm college algebra and calculus, but I do all of them except for differential, which I'm doing this summer. So it's a full range of students. Each one of them, depending on what class I'm teaching, there's some commonalities, but there's some differences too between what group of students as far as that like anxiety level and things. I have not scheduled for the library yet, but I have encouraged because of the they can rent computers and graphing calculators, but it's on my list that that's something we'll be doing in the future semester because there's a hesitancy to want to use resources the first time, and so I to take them there and show them, get the foot to cross. It's like the vampires, right? You have to invite them in for them to come into your house.
Yeah.
You get the connection. So like to bring them across that threshold and be like, see, it's safe. I really want to make that a
For
priority.
the academic center downstairs.
Yeah. And I have embedded tutors in my classes, and that really helps students that come from the ASC. But yeah, it really does make a difference to do that tour with them.
Thank you. Really. So names, again, we're talking about the importance of learning and using names. Vicki talked a little bit already about like, oh, it's important that we use the students' names for their sense of belonging, right? So if they're not like just in a class and they're anonymous and they're in and they're out, They're not going to feel a connection, right, in the same kind of way. What other ways do you think the names are beneficial? We talked about students learning other students' names, right? Anything you can think of in terms of like retaining students or student success? How else do you think that could be useful for us?
They'll feel supported,
Feel
especially if they don't have supports at home. They'll feel recognized, like valued.
Absolutely, yeah. Not only by us, but by who else? Their other colleagues, right?
And I feel like, so my program, like your program, it's a cohort that stays together for 2 years. So they build relationships and they feel like they're in it together, and they may support each other at certain times. Like, I need support from you today, and you need support from me tomorrow, and do you understand this? Because I can explain it to you, but I really don't get this. That inner working between them. And I notice they tend to start clumping together, like there's this group, they're forming their little groups. But then every once in a while I mix it up, and then they have to be with other people. And
That's good for them too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I definitely feel like it's the solo flyers in our cohort, because I'm lucky enough to have a cohort program as well for most of my courses. It's the solo flyers that sometimes we're concerned about for student retention or student success. Like if you have a best friend in your program or a best friend in your class, you're going to be probably a lot better off, right? Just in terms of your ability to be retained, your resilience, your support system. So, I think it all starts with the names, right? It's all a first step. So I think that's a great start. Techniques for learning names. I'm actually going to learn from you guys in a moment, and I'll stop for just a moment to talk about my checklists. You kind of see, like, this helps me keep structure for, like, I put my main topics on the board, and as we go, we check them off one by one. I learned this from Hunter Stuckmeyer, who's an awesome instructor here at Triton. So thanks to her, it just helps me to keep organized. For some students, it might help to keep them organized as well. But so just as we go, like we're going to do that. We talked about checklists. To me, it gives a sense of accomplishment, like, oh, we're getting somewhere, we're checking it off, we finished another one, right? And as Hunter pointed out, I think it might be especially helpful for neurodivergent students, just to give them a sense of, like what's coming and a little scaffolding for the class rather than just, they like that structure. So, techniques for learning names. There's many. And I'm curious to see what you are using as well. So I'm going to pitch it to you, but I'm going to pitch it in a high-tech format back on the Slido. If you've never seen the Slido, this is like it from an instructor perspective. So I can add whatever I want. I'm going to add a open text response. One more time, add an open text. Would you use in order to learn and use students' name better? So it's piece of cake. I just type whatever I want, and we start it, and it'll leave it on the presentation mode. So if you wouldn't mind one more time, pull out your Slido. Again, you can join it at, I guess there's no password. I just want to know what techniques do you use or what could you use in order to really get fluid with those names. It could be a challenge, right? You have so many students. You have 80 students coming in, like 50, right? We'll take maybe just a minute. I'm going to come around in just a second, make sure you're okay with the Slido, so don't mind me. Our responses are anonymous, which might be helpful. So, 4:09. One of the things I liked about the Slido is as we answer it, you can see everybody's response right away. All right, fantastic. We'll try to wrap it up maybe in the next 15 seconds, 15, 20 seconds. Let's see what we got. Somebody wrote, you can have students sit in the same place for a few classes. You can also repeat their name when saying it. I think just repetition, like somebody else later mentioned, repetition is a really good, very good first step. I feel like the students generally, like they settle after a couple weeks in their normal chair, so that's helpful, which makes it difficult, right? You do group work and you move them, and then you're like, it throws you off. Each student introduces themselves. Clothing to help me identify, use names right away. That's good. Know all the names for use at the start of class too. Wow, that's ambitious.
Well, I don't have 50 students. I got 18.
Even so, yeah.
I can do that.
I'm impressed. Make an appointment to visit me during office hours. That's awesome. I do that too because, again, we have a cohort class. So I want to make sure they're as comfortable with me as fast as possible. Builds a relationship and helps remember their name. Awesome. I also try to add student first names to exams if possible. That's good. Have them turn a lot of stuff at the beginning of the semester. I heard that I hand back, so low stakes or no stakes assessments. Awesome. Use students' name frequently during conversations. Again, the name tense I think are super useful for that. Use names whenever I interact with them. Call out the roll every name or every class period. And then our bottom one, let's see. Okay. Pics on the roster. I feel like it's becoming more of a thing, right? Where students, like, their pictures are, people are increasingly like putting their pictures on, which is super helpful. I have online courses, and to me, like, until I can associate it some kind of way, it's like they're just names. Thank you for that. I'm thinking also, I have like multiple courses where there's a Samantha, and one of them likes to be called Sam, and the other one likes Samantha. So I'm thinking, like, before each class, just literally look down the roster and like prime my mind one by one, just so I don't like, have an accident. Because unfortunately I have, but I try not to. Okay, we talked about our presentation checklist. How about calling on students? I feel like, have you found, I guess I'll kick things off with my questions first, right? have you found that a small number of your students answer a large majority of your questions?
No, that can happen. We do, in my class, we do everything together.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm trying to learn English. So we read everything that we have that we're reading. I have broken into little sections, so we can go right along. Erica, your turn.
Huh?
We go right around the room.
So you kind of, the way your classroom is structured.
We do everything together.
Yep.
And they help each other, and it really becomes a lot of fun. And they know each other anyway from all their years in ESL.
I think that's great. I do think it's more inclusive, right? When we have more voices being heard from in the classroom. Like I said, like women, like their voices aren't amplified as much, they aren't heard as much. So when we do things like the Slido, for example, or we structure our classrooms, like John does, to purposefully to hear from different voices, I think that's very beneficial from our students.
So, I have
Yes,
a
Tilly.
question about that.
Sure.
Does that put patience, sorry.
I always do that too. Yeah, patience, right?
Well, I do have a question.
Does that put students in a vulnerable place where, like, I'm gonna call on Tina, and maybe Tina doesn't know the answer, but John does know it. You know, but John answers all the time.
Right.
You know, and I want to hear from Tina because I bet Tina knows the answer, or at least she could make a stab at it.
Right.
You know, is that like that's something that I am currently struggling with? Like, I don't want to put students in a position of feeling, like
nervous, on edge, right?
yeah,
Because as soon as you ignite that panic response, a lot of times students' mental or just human mental functioning will go down. I just went to a conference and they proposed the idea of norm calling, meaning ask a question, all right, everybody take about 10, 15, 20 seconds, look through your notes and see what you can find for the answer. I'm going to call on somebody in just a few minutes to give like, or whatever it might be, to let them have some like priming time before doing it. Because I always felt nervous too, because I was that student of, I knew it, but as soon as you call me, it's out. And then I feel embarrassed. So I try to really kind of respect that, but I don't also want the same students always answering.
right.
Yeah.
I do feel like the anxiety of potentially being cold called is very disruptive for their learning in many cases. So, again, this is a good example of like give them a warm up period where they can consult their notes.
Or neighbors even.
Yeah,
like,
neighbors.
yeah.
A lot of times we do group work. Sorry.
I know there's some students who know the answers. I see them mouthing the answer. I see them nodding their head like, yep, I've seen that. You know, because some of them are already in a clinical setting. So they've seen a chest tube inserted or whatever. And so they're like, you know, and so I'll be like, Brandon, is there something you wanted to share?
Yeah.
You know,
I feel like, again, for me, sometimes the slide I'll ask like a critical thinking question or like, what's your interpretation of this? Or what's your, have you seen, or what have you seen, you know, at clinicals or something, right? It gives them a safe, anonymous way to participate. Or I feel like for many students, they're going to feel less anxious.
yeah. I actually had 3 students today that gave wrong answers, and I encouraged it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm so glad that you offered that information. Good for you for, you know, not quite it, but let's, you know, further research that or whatever. So I see a couple of people starting to come out of the woodwork. You know what I mean?
They need to know that it's safe first,
Yeah.
right? And obviously, if you shut them down or shoot them down, that'll be the end of it, right? It doesn't take a lot to lose their trust.
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
So obviously, you want to be encouraging, which sounds like you definitely were. Awesome. Yeah. A lot of the answers I will say, like, I'll be like, you can talk about it, think about it on your own to think your share, right? Give them a minute to think about it, discuss their answers, and then I'm going to call on somebody after you've had a chance to consult with your partners. So that way, first of all, it's a higher quality answer, probably, because they put their heads together. And also, they don't feel so attacked or on edge that they're just at any moment going to be called on. So. Some techniques you could use. As far as the actual calling process, high tech or low tech, it's up to you, right? Slips of paper, somebody, I've heard like popsicle sticks, you just put names on it and call somebody. You can use a random name generator. I'll show you one. Let's see if I can I use on Google, I go to bingo call generator. There's many. Here's one that I like, so. You put the students' names in, and rather than type them every time, because there's 30 students' names or whatever, and that could take a lot of time, so I just copy and paste from a document. So we could be like, Joe, Mimi, Isabel, Claudia, I don't know, and Bob, right? This is our pool of people, so you can just call them one by one if you want to, that way. It's up to you. But that way it's random, and again, that way you get to hear from different voices, right? Which is interesting for me too. Like, I do appreciate those students that are talkative, right? But I want to hear from everybody. So.
Well, I like to say, who wants to be our first victim?
Get them laughing, right?
Then ask, sure.
Right, fantastic. So we talk about calling on students, how to make it more comfortable for them. I know a lot of people have heard about Kahoot, right? Everybody's played Kahoot. What I want to know is, have you played it from the student side recently? I'm going to start a game. And again, it just goes into some of our topics for inclusive teaching. Do you want to try it in the team mode? Does anybody try it in team mode, Kahoot? Let's do maybe pairs if we can.
I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah. Kahoot, yeah. Well, I'll show you how to use it in just a second. Let's try it in the team mode. And we'll do teams of 2. I'll set you up in just a second. Kahoot is kind of like a trivia quiz game type mode, but you can make it about whatever content that you like. So if we could, John, if you wouldn't mind just kind of scooting over by, I'm going to group you on a team with Tina.
Okay.
Thanks so much. Tina, I'm going to have you be the team captain.
Okay.
And then work with John. Thanks so much. Maybe we can borrow.
Great to meet you.
Borrow you.
One of the best parts to these sessions.
And we'll borrow you.
One of the best parts to come into these sessions. Meeting people outside and having them work.
So we're supposed to
Do
be.
you want to be?
Yeah.
Oh, we will. I don't need to shoot it. You did. Or do I need to?
It's going to be one device per team.
Yeah, one, okay. I've never done this before.
Oh, you haven't either.
Okay, do we have a team captain?
Okay.
Because I thought sure I will.
Yeah.
No, I haven't done it, I haven't seen it. I'm
Okay.
excited.
So you teach it now.
If you want to join the game, and then it'll ask you for like a
Everything
group game.
developmental math up to whatever level, so, and they each require different demands as far as, the higher up the students are, the more outspoken, yeah,
I don't
they've
know
got
much
comfortable.
better developmental
You have
stuff.
to really kind of work more.
I want to try to work in like team mode.
And,
Just for-
even if you get up.
Developmental English.
Yeah, I mean, I love English, I love literature. I used to be, I one time was gonna be an English major, but I never wanted to grade or teach. So I don't actually, grading essays and see what somebody's
It's
so.
good to-
Yeah.
In the developmental. I barely like that.
Oh, you said only one.
Yeah.
And it was
But I like the interaction with students.
Specifically that.
Basically, I just want to be online versus individual. I like it, I mean, I'll do it, but I definitely send it to
Now, if you go to that night, you're gonna get a little.
In the classroom, I can read their body language, and I can see the responses, like, right? There's there, she's been there forever.
Oh, you're the teacher.
The thing I work is my machine language, I came in 2013.
So do you just teach you?
This year, yeah, full-time here. And then before here, I taught 4 years full-time in Texas. And then before that was just kind
You
of.
should have the answer to these.
Practice. I've been teaching that. Explaining, arguing textbooks for a long time.
That's great.
I love getting people over that hurdle because it's unnecessary.
It was a hurdle for me. I have to admit.
It has nothing to do with your brain and how it functions. It has to do with tapping into explaining the world. And I work with more.
I don't think I could get my GED in this. No.
Sorry. Still reviewed it. Still reviewed it.
Or it's like teaching, you just say, back table bureaus.
I don't think that way. Maybe this is like I think of
Then I'll ask you for the
things
name.
in ways that are very common memories. I don't know. Just, most textbooks are awful. Yeah, I think they are. There's only like 2 or 3 math textbooks I've ever come across where I went, I like them. Most of them are like, why are you explaining? Like, that's just horrible. It's like that, you know? Oh, I need to give a team name. I'm
That's
gonna
fine.
give a number team name.
We're good to go.
Okay. I didn't know we could do that.
And the students love to use the same phone.
This is for our first time players. Okay, everybody's got it, right? You see the answer on the board and you answer on your own device. Perfect, I think we got it.
When you're in pairs, you're only using one phone.
Only one phone, right?
Oh.
And the idea is like it kind of forces them to put their heads together, right?
Yeah.
It's a fun way for them to work with each other. Good icebreaker, right?
Did you get it, Mike?
You got it.
For some maths, it's not equal to 4, but that's okay.
Oh,
That's on a different level.
we were ready to overnight.
Creative.
She's more than one, right? Check them out, right?
Pretty cool.
Fantastic. Of course, inclusive the classroom is going to help everybody, right? But especially certain types of groups.
Yes.
Perfect. So I'm going to go with false on this one. Maybe this is a controversial topic, but I don't think with us, right? We want students cooperating. I like the joke. There's one of me, right? There's 30 students, right? There's one of me and 30 of you all. So the extent to which we can work together, teach each other, that's so helpful for us all. Very good. So it's recommended, right? The research says you're supposed to try to teach in different ways, right? Rather than do the same thing all the time. Maybe this student is English second language, right? Maybe they can't hear as well as other students. Maybe they're visual learners, right? So try different things so we can reach all of our students. So again, lots of different styles, right? That's the reason why we present in different ways. Conceivably, right? Depends on the assignment, I guess. But. I mean, it depends on the assignment, but I'm going to argue if you give students different agency, different ways that they can show their mastery, that it's beneficial to them, right? It gets them more invested in their learning. Like this is pretty obvious, right? One that's connecting with their classmates is going to feel more secure, more supported, and overall do better.
I just figured out that I've been hitting the answers, but I haven't been hitting submit.
Oh,
my God.
that's okay.
I thought it was like automatic.
Yeah, but we always laugh.
It is, but it takes it, like, that's why I'm in last place.
No.
Oh, it's taking.
Because I don't hit submit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just been hitting, like, I thought that it
Well, you
automatic.
got one more cheat, two more
That's
cheats.
fine.
It's okay.
No, I have a comment actually about the whole like ranking thing in a second.
So again,
No, it's not a bad
I think
thing.
it's a combination of so many different factors.
different ways to learn, right? Collaborative learning. Again, they get to hear from their classmates, diverse ideas, build those connections. This is important for us in the health careers, but we want to build their social skills. Some of them are introverted, which is totally fine, but we need to build their base level of competency, social competency, to a base level where they can perform professionally, right? Because they don't know who's coming through the door next, their next patient, and it's like, ready or not, here's your next patient. By the way, the one for that one, that what we weren't supposed to do is make it instructor focused, right? We want to try to make things more student focused. Let them take charge. Very good. So feedback is super important for them, right? Has anybody taken a course where it was just like set up, it was just like lectures, and then there's a big midterm exam, and then a big final exam bomb coming at the end?
Probably all of us did at one time or another.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
How did it feel? What was your experience with it?
It's not interesting.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to feel real engaged.
To me, it's like very nerve-wracking too, right? It's like there's no feedback, so there's no correction. It's like, am I on track? Am I studying right? Am I not studying right? So, of course, their peace of mind, right? Try to avoid that. Very well.
Ah, wow.
In a single stretch, maybe my question wasn't the clearest, but in a single stretch, today's students, realistically, 5 minutes, maybe even less than that, right?
Is that true?
It's because, sorry.
Is that really true?
So they believe that it has a lot to do with being a TikTok society, a real type of society. Yeah. And we were talking about that in the library.
Attention spans for our students probably shorter than ever. So realistically, after you're talking, after however long, 5 minutes approximately, it doesn't matter if what you're saying is the most amazing thing ever, most insightful thing, you've probably lost them by that point. Here's the scores. Of course, we're not competitive in this class, but thank you for everyone who participated in that. Let's see what we have time for before we finish up. I want to know, how do you prefer to group students when you do group work? First of all, I like to redefine group work, because if you say the words group work, they're like, oh my gosh, a group project where they're like forced to work with somebody and somebody's slacking or somebody can't be reached and it's all the drama related to that. So maybe I'm gonna try to work on saying teams instead, because it's a more positive framing maybe. I'm gonna slide it out to you because I want to hear from everybody. So how do you, I'll set up a Slido question real quick. And one of the things I really like about Slido is I can be spontaneous with it, right? Give myself room to make a question. I'm going to add an open text. What do you prefer? Put students into groups or teams, right? In your courses. Groups or teams. Let's do that and start it. If you wouldn't mind reopening your Slido tab one more time. In my courses, I tell my students, open the Slido and leave it in a tab because we usually refer back to it several times. Just in terms of the mechanics of getting them into actual groups. If you're not sure, that's totally fine. I appreciate it. We're working together. We'll try to wrap it up in 20 seconds maybe. Okay, terrific. Looks like people are saying teams of 2 to work at in-class projects, such as information reviews and other things. Find a new partner today. I like that. Work with somebody new, right? Sometimes I have them create their own groups. Other times I quickly group them by having my students sitting near each other. That's interesting. Sometimes I group students who are sitting near each other. Okay. Other times I mix it up within the class. Okay. Excellent. I don't have the opportunity to do this, but would appreciate hearing your ideas. Thank you, everybody who's contributing. I tell students when they're Slidoing, if you're not sure of the answer, because they'll be like, well, what should we do with patient when this presentation and this and that? I'd be like, it's okay to guess. It's totally fine. Yes, I see him in the back.
I just have a question.
Sure.
I might be digressing, getting off topic though. You don't need an app to do the Slido.com, right?
No, right, as of right now, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. So.
No, would I need an app to, like as a student, I don't need the app, but as an instructor, do you need the app?
No. I wouldn't use any tool that requires students to sign up for something or get an external app, because I feel like those are hurdles that if best left avoided.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes my students do for Kahoot. They might download the app.
They might have the app. Yeah, but you don't need it to participate, right? Same deal today. You jump right into the Slido. You don't need it, right? As of right now, it's free. Sorry to be so I got so excited to start answering that I accidentally cut you off. As of right now, it's free. We'll see how long that lasts, right?
So yeah, because
Kahoot used to be free. Well, it's free, but now what I used to be able to do several years ago, now you have to pay like $60 a year to.
Yeah, because I wanted to try to do it new and I couldn't do it new.
Yeah, you could do some things, but not what you used to be able to
Yeah,
do.
my chair was like, well, the code's free, and I'm like,
They usually try to keep it free as
I
long as
tried.
possible, and then as they grow it, they grow a base, and then they
I
maybe
really
try to
wanted
monetize
to
it.
use Kahoot in my classes, but
Right,
Yeah.
$60 a year.
For what it's worth. But for the moment, Slido is free, which is helpful. All you need is an account. You just sign up, and you're good to go. And then, sorry, our last response was, let's see. Draw numbers or pair those who are excelling with those not doing so well in class. Interesting. Or take them out of their cliques and team them up with different students. That's good. Thank you for all of those responses. A lot of times I just do them randomly.
I feel like if you let them choose their own groups, it takes forever too.
Yeah. Or somebody's
It's
going to
like,
feel
"Come
left
on,
out, right?
Let's just get this part done and move on.
Again, in healthcare, they got to be ready to work with whoever walks through the door. And even if they're not in healthcare, I mean, it's nice to be able to work with people from different walks of life. So a lot of times I will just group them randomly. And again, I feel like that's more inclusive because nobody feels anxiety about being left out, right? We can do. I'm going to argue that if you group them randomly, they hear more voices, obviously, right? So they're not with the same people all the time. Nobody feels left out. They build connections, right? They're developing their social skills. Also saves time. So I have one question for you. We have many more things I would love to show you, but we're just about out of time, so I won't keep you. I feel like my students, they're resistant to wanting to move in my class.
They're resistant to what?
To wanting to move around, right? They arrive, they sit down, they put their backpack down, their chairs and everything, and then once they're settled, then they don't want to move.
I think that happens all the time.
Yeah. My question for you is there a way to encourage them to be more mobile or to make it easier for them?
Tell them to get up and move. I usually just put them in the group here. Jennifer, you come here with this one, you go there with that one.
I just want them to feel comfortable, and I don't care so much if they sit in the same spot, and that's why sometimes when I work on group projects, I move them around with different people, so they can be comfortable with other people, but they like their spot, so I just kind of let them have that.
How do you, if you have them with different people, how do you have them all in their own preferred spot? Is that possible?
They just move during the project, so we have opportunities to work on projects that may last 30 minutes to an hour long. And actually, we have 2 30-minute projects this evening. So I kind of like to take them out of their comfort zone, and I'll just say, okay, you guys, grab your things, you're over here, and just kind of mix them up. And you can kind of tell who's, in the group and, the same people. So it's just what I do in class.
The other thing is label your tables. This is table 1, this is table 2, 3 before they get there. And then they get a number when they come in. And, okay, who's ever got 3, you're at table number 3. So as they walk in, I'm kind of moving them.
Oh, as they come in, before they get settled and rather than
Yeah.
move the section.
Or catch it before they.
Yes,
That was
that's their
the biggest-
baby, make them uncomfortable by getting up and doing exercise.
All right, well, thank you everybody for coming. I won't take any more of your time today.
Thank
Thank you. It's very
If
nice.
you have questions, of course, you can email me, jeffrey.pasieka@triton.edu.
This is very enjoyable.
Thank you very much.
These are great. Here's your form.
Thank you for letting me, Laura, I think will.